You're watching Spirit Spotlight.
Hey everybody, this is Austin Sumowitz with WNEM TV5 Sports, and welcome to the Spirit Spotlight, where we zone in on everything Saginaw Spirit hockey. I am joined once again by Dylan Clark, play-by-play commentator of the Saginaw Spirit. Happy holidays. I hope you had a really good holiday, actually.
It was great. It was great. It was good to see some family, good to see some friends, put some miles on the old Jeep. But it was a good rest, and I know the guys needed some time off, and they made the most of the rest, it looks like.
It seems like that because the guys are coming off of a huge performance this past weekend. 5 goals against the Sioux Greyhounds and a 5-1 victory. Talk to me real quick. I think I saw you wrote about the team and coming out of that win. It was one of the best performances you've seen out of them all year. Yeah,
a couple of back-to-back wins. You know, they go into the break with a win on Teddy Bear Toss Night here in this building. Probably wasn't the way they drew it up. We're up 3-1, went down 4-3, came back, and were able to pick up the win. And it makes it so much easier. When you're able to go into the break with 2 points, you just feel a little bit lighter. You're not sitting there thinking about the loss. It snapped a long losing streak for this team, so they get the good feelings going into the break. They get that time with family. They get that opportunity to recharge, and then they come back. And there's always a question mark of how's the team going to look whenever they come back from a long break like that. You don't get 6 or 7 days off really anywhere else in the schedule, even at the end of the season going into the playoffs. So it's unique in that way that it's the longest amount of time they're going to have off this year. You don't know what you're going to get when you come back from that. And what this team got was probably one of the better performances, if not one of the best. I think the best performance prior to that was maybe in London at the tail end of November. I would say this might be up there with that and probably surpass it. 5-1 over the Sioux. Stepan Shurigan had a shutout going until the very end of the game. He was at his acrobatic best. Igor Barabanov gets 3 points, and that's a Sioux Greyhounds team they're built for the playoffs. They've been adding big names, looking to go deep into the postseason and hopefully capture an OHL championship from their standpoint. So it's not like it's any run-of-the-mill team that they beat. That's a really challenging Sioux Greyhounds squad. Saginaw played a really complete hockey game on Sunday night up at GFL Memorial Gardens, and the hope is that it can continue here this week.
No doubt about it. And I mean, the game closed out too with a huge milestone for Nick Sema, 100 career OHL points from him. I mean, we've talked about him this year as well, just like a guy who's super tenured with this team, and it's just a really cool milestone for him coming out of that game as well. Yeah, a lot of milestones that have kind of been hit in and around this time of the year. Carson Harmer played in his 100th OHL game. Sema, like you said, 100 points in the league. And we've seen kind of the big game nature of his offensive ability. I talked about that game in Oshawa going into the break. It was a big goal and a big moment like that. And, you think about if things go a little bit differently in that game, he doesn't find that extra gear to pick up that puck and score, things might be feeling a little bit different going into the holiday, and we can play the what-if game for, probably a couple hours here. But, he's found that knack for scoring big goals and showing up in big moments for this hockey team. The guys look up to him in the locker room. It's good to celebrate a little milestone for him. And it's going to get another fun weekend matchup against the Sioux Greyhounds as they come here to the Dow Event Center on Saturday in part one of a back-to-back for the Spirit here at the Dow Event Center. Real quickly, you mentioned about that Sioux team, how they've kind of stacked up for the playoffs, the challenges they bring, and just like it seems like every game we get against these two teams, it's always high scoring, it's always high energy. Like what's kind of the mindset of the team as they get ready for another quick matchup against Sioux? Well,
I think the mindset's the same every time. It's a busy week to start here coming out of the holiday break. I mean, as we film this, we're getting ready to play Sarnia. We've got Windsor on the Wednesday that this is going to come out. It's part of 5 games in 8 days coming out of the holiday break, so the rest is great. You better hope you hang on to as much of it as you can, because we're going to be busy here this first week coming out of it. So, no, like you said, the Sioux at home, the only time that they've been in this building this year was an 8-4 Greyhounds win, and it was emotional. The Spirit almost came back in that game. It was one of the stranger ones, I think, that we've seen, and we've seen a lot of strange hockey this year, I think. But you know what? You can kind of shrug that off, and you've got more positive energy flowing through you, I think, with some of the way that these games have gone. Again, that game up at GFL Memorial Gardens over the weekend, you try to carry as much of that with you as you can. It's in the past. There's nothing that is really going to impact this game coming up directly, but it's always nice to have that extra little momentum with you. And that'll be our food drive with Cortava. We've been doing that for many years with them. So fans obviously encouraged to come out, bring canned goods, non-perishables, whatever you may have, to kind of distribute throughout the community here. And then that Sunday game, we got the Brampton Steelheads at 5:30. Go Gus Go Night, a charity promoting the awareness of Angelman syndrome. Excuse me. So we're excited to work with them for the first time and get folks a little bit more up to date on that, and keep right on rolling here as we get into 2026.
I was just going to say, it's already hard to believe that we're entering the new year of 2026. Kind of like, what's your overall just impressions of the team going into the new year, as they've kind of, like you said, there's been a lot of weird hockey that the Spirit have kind of gone through with matchups and opponents that they've faced this year. Like, what would you say is your overall impression of just like how this year's kind of shaked out and what the future holds for the Spirit going into 2026?
I think it's hard to predict with any amount of certainty. I think the biggest storyline going into the second half of the year is, for guys like Nikita Klepov, Igor Barabanov, Brody Popoy, Stepan Shurigan, what is their step towards the NHL draft look like? It might feel a little weird looking at the middle or the end of June right now as we're just getting into January, but that's one of the next big things for them. They'll go to the Connor McDavid Top Prospects game in Peterborough coming up in mid-January. And this is the time of year where all the scouts kind of narrow their focus a little bit. There'll be another ranking coming out from NHL Central Scouting. Do guys move up the list? Do guys slide down a little bit? And again, that has some bearing on where teams draft guys come June. Not all, but it's showtime for these guys. And Saginaw with that win the other day, they clicked back up into a playoff spot. They're in 8th place at the time of filming this right now. I know Erie's in action this evening, or I guess this afternoon as well. So there's going to be a lot of movement. We played 35 games on the year, but you know what? There's a chance. There's always a chance to sneak into the playoffs. And you know what? If you get a little mojo going in the second half of the year, home ice is never really off the table. So we're looking to see what the guys can do, building on their NHL draft years, and the spring's right around the corner.
That's for sure about that. And again, like I said, they're currently preparing for hockey tonight as the Spirit get ready to play against the Sting, and then just again a huge busy weekend. What can fans expect for this back-to-back? I mean, like getting 2 games at home for the weekend. It just brings awesome atmosphere and especially awesome chances for Saginaw fans to come out and see this team in action.
Yeah. No shortage of chances to see this team at home. I think we're at home a lot more in the second half of the year. We got a couple big road trips coming up in January. We'll go through Peterborough, Kingston, and Ottawa, and then we'll head back to I think Erie and Guelph as well later this upcoming month of January. But no, 2 great chances, Saturday and Sunday. I know the weather hasn't been great, so I don't know. The more I get hit in the head with snow, the more it makes me think about hockey. So I don't think I'm the only one out there like that. But no, we're excited, especially, I mean, personally, I'm excited for the Sioux game, just the way that season series has gone. There's the playoff history, that might be one of the better rivalries that the Spirit have going on right now. And it all kind of goes back to recent playoff opponents. Flint a couple of years ago, but the Sioux in London in that 2024 postseason run. And maybe, Erie as well, but I would put the Sioux one probably top 2.
No, for sure about that. And then lastly, just talking about the top prospects that the Spirit have and just that huge opportunity with the Connor McDavid prospects game and just guys like Stepan Shurgin, guys like Nikita Klepov, all these great players that have really found their way to just continue to hone their craft and get their game improved in the OHL, trying to chase after that NHL debut. I mean, talked about like this part of the year now and like how things maybe step up a little bit more with, you said, the scouts really having their eyes out for games like the prospects game and stuff like that. Yeah,
it's an important time of year for those guys. Like I said, that there's going to be a building full of scouts up in Peterborough on January 14th for that top prospects game. Those guys got to have their absolute best ready to go. And the second half of the year, everybody's pushing for the playoffs. Things get a little tighter. It gets harder. There's no doubt about it. The games get more difficult as the years go on, or as the year goes on. You get more tired. The fatigue kind of sets in. How do you handle? 68 games isn't the 82-game pace of the NHL, but it's a lot more than a lot of other leagues and a lot of other levels play. I think for a lot of these guys, it's probably the most hockey that they've played in a year so far in their lives, and that's not everybody, but for a lot of them. So, how do you hold up as the time goes on that way? And that's one of the 8,000 things that scouts going to be looking at as they come and zero in on these guys.
Out of the holiday break right now, and action gets right back underway for the Saginaw Spirit again. A back-to-back weekend here at the Dow Event Center, starting on Saturday when the Spirit hosts the Sioux Greyhounds, and then the Steelheads come to town Sunday afternoon. If you were looking to come out and see the game in person, tickets are available at SaginawSpirit.com. Once again, Dylan, appreciate your time always for the Spirit Spotlight. We appreciate you.
Thanks, man.
And I'm Austin Sumwitz with WNEM TV5 Sports. This has been the Spirit Spotlight. Go Spirit.